If we were to look closer at this seemingly barren wasteland, we would encounter the faint, dusty scent of a grand cosmic desert spanning thousands of light years. Scattered throughout this sprawling, quiet emptiness is a delicate, invisible mist of drifting gas and microscopic soot that completely dictates the thermal destiny of the galaxy. It is a shadowy, endlessly fertile landscape where the scattered ashes of dead stellar giants patiently wait to be woven into the cores of newborn suns. Surprisingly, the staggering violence, extreme radiation, and immense scale of these celestial engines cannot reach you here in the quiet, gentle comfort of your room. The heavy protective walls of your home and the soft, inviting layers of your blankets form a perfect, localized sanctuary against the vastness of the deep. You are safe. These wonders are yours to inherit as you sleep, settling heavily into the warm, supportive embrace of your resting body. This cosmic structure is unfathomably vast, yet its slow, patient evolution perfectly mirrors the rhythmic, unhurried rising and falling of your own relaxed breathing. Let the lingering tension in your muscles melt away, completely surrendering your physical weight to the mattress, just as the galaxy gracefully surrenders to the quiet pull of its own gravity. The space between the blinding fires of our galaxy is not the absolute void we once imagined, but rather a delicate, invisible mist of drifting gas and cosmic dust. To journey through this expanse is to encounter the faint, dusty scent of a grand cosmic desert, a seemingly barren wasteland that secretly holds the raw ingredients of all creation. This incredibly sheer veil stretches across the countless light years, whispering with the faint kinetic energy of endlessly scattered particles. If we were to collect the contents of this sweeping emptiness, we would find a tenuous smog composed primarily of primordial hydrogen, laced with the heavier ashes of ancient stellar explosions. It is a subtle atmosphere that seamlessly fills the great galactic gulfs, proving that nature abhors a true vacuum, even in the darkest reaches of the cosmos. Exploring this vast medium reveals a silent, persistent physical presence that connects every glowing star in the night sky. The staggering scale of this microscopic fog completely challenges our earthly understanding of nothingness, transforming empty space into a vast, whispering ocean of boundless potential. We are not looking at an empty stage, but a canvas primed with the finest, most elusive pigments imaginable. Deep within this ethereal medium, isolation takes on a meaning that defies all human comprehension. A single cubic centimetre of this profound emptiness often contains just one solitary atom of hydrogen, drifting in total darkness. On our terrestrial home, a similar volume of breathable air teems with quintillions of wildly colliding molecules. Here in the deep void, that solitary atom might travel for centuries without ever encountering a companion. This extreme scarcity creates an environment so diffuse that the fastest human spacecraft would glide through it without feeling the slightest whisper of atmospheric friction. It is a solitude so pure and perfect that it borders on the sacred, a silent testament to the vastness of the galactic domain. Surprisingly, the universe maintains this ultimate minimalism across distances that take light itself millions of years to cross. The profound emptiness acts as a crystalline insulator, allowing the brilliant radiation of distant suns to travel almost entirely unimpeded. To truly grasp the interstellar medium is to appreciate the overwhelming dominance of empty space, punctuated only by the rarest, most isolated specks of matter. If we were to look closer at the mathematics of this grand structure, a staggering truth would quietly reveal itself. This incredibly sparse fog, despite its ghostly immateriality, accounts for nearly 15% of all the visible matter scattered throughout our galaxy. The sheer, overwhelming volume of the spaces between the stars perfectly compensates for the microscopic density of the material within them. Picture a delicate layer of frost spread impossibly thin over a continent, weighing as much as an entire mountain range. The combined mass of these lonely drifting atoms eclipses the weight of billions of fully formed suns, acting as a hidden counterweight to the glowing stellar populations. It is a magnificent deception of scale, where the most invisible component of the cosmos holds a commanding share of its physical reality. This cosmic architecture reminds us that true cosmic mass does not always reside in blinding, concentrated spheres of nuclear fire. Instead, the galaxy spreads its vast wealth evenly, hiding its heavier secrets in the dark, silent expanses we so often ignore. We are forced to respect the immense, cumulative power of the infinitely small when spread across the infinitely large. Picture a vast, dark ocean where the ethereal waves are composed entirely of slowly drifting helium and vital trace elements. These immense currents flow with a glacial, silent majesty, guided by the subtle gravitational tugs of passing star clusters and ancient galactic rotation. There are no crashing breakers here, only the soft, endless swirling of microscopic tides carrying the heavy metallic ashes of long-dead stars. Within these gentle cosmic currents, atoms of carbon, oxygen, and iron surf across the light years, undertaking voyages of unimaginable duration. The interstellar fluid moves in grand, sweeping arcs, stirring the fundamental ingredients of reality like an alchemist's grand, invisible potion. To navigate this ocean would be to sail through a sea of absolute stillness, where the concept of fluid dynamics is stretched across the eons. This silent seascape is continuously enriched by the dying breaths of ancient solar systems, adding new exotic elements to the dark waters. Every swirling eddy in this ethereal ocean represents a subtle gathering of resources, a slow accumulation of mass that will one day dictate the birth of new worlds. The cosmos breathes through these majestic, unseen tides, sustaining the endless cycle of galactic evolution. Surprisingly, the universe manages to hide millions of solar masses within these seemingly barren, unremarkable stretches of the deep void. What appears to a casual observer as a featureless expanse is actually a gargantuan reservoir, heavily laden with hidden, untapped potential. The dark, sprawling expanses possess a cumulative weight so monumental that their gravity gently sculpts the very orbital paths of the stars themselves. Consider how these immense, invisible structures anchor the twisting spiral arms of the Milky Way, holding the glowing architecture firmly in place. They are the great, unseen mountains of our galaxy, rising not in sheer rock, but in a delicate, imperceptible suspension of gas. The dark matter of the universe may be a mystery, but this hidden baryonic mass proves that even normal matter can effortlessly vanish into the shadows. This grand camouflage highlights the elegant subtlety with which the cosmos organizes its most critical building blocks. The sheer tonnage of these hidden clouds ensures that the galactic engine will not run out of fuel for countless billions of years. It is a quiet, masterful display of cosmic hoarding, securing the future of the galaxy in a vault of pure darkness. As the brilliant illumination of distant stars embarks on its journey, it is gently dimmed and reddened while passing through this sweeping cosmic veil. The microscopic grains of silica and carbon suspended in the deep freeze act as a natural ethereal filter, scattering the cooler blue wavelengths of light in all directions. What finally reaches our terrestrial telescopes is a warmer, softer glow, carrying the unmistakable visual fingerprint of its long voyage through the darkness. Notice how this subtle phenomenon, known to astronomers as interstellar extinction, paints the galactic horizon with a beautiful artificial twilight. It is a celestial illusion that makes the farthest beacons appear older, cooler, and more mysterious than they truly are. The faint, dusty scent of a cosmic desert seems almost palpable when observing these reddened stars, evoking the feeling of gazing through the haze of an endless sandstorm. Without this continuous, subtle dimming, the night sky would blaze with a harsh, overwhelming intensity that would wash out the delicate structure of the Milky Way. the interstellar medium acts as a protective, shaded lens, allowing us to gaze deep into the galactic core without being blinded by its raw power. It is a masterful artistic intervention by the invisible universe. This grand cosmic structure forms the vast silent reservoir from which all future stars, exotic planets, and unimaginable worlds will inevitably be born. It is the ultimate primordial womb of the galaxy, patiently holding the necessary components of fire and rock in a state of suspended, peaceful animation. Every single atom that currently makes up our oceans, our mountains, and our very bodies once drifted aimlessly within this exact same kind of dark, shapeless fog. When we cast our gaze into these whispering voids, we're essentially looking directly into the deep, unwritten future of the Milky Way. The seemingly barren expanse is merely waiting for the perfect gravitational trigger, a subtle cosmic nudge that will initiate the spectacular collapse and ignite the next generation of suns. It is a profound state of becoming, where the sheer emptiness is pregnant with infinite dazzling possibilities. The realization that such breathtaking complexity can arise from such profound nothingness is the ultimate triumph of galactic evolution. It stands as a silent promise that the universe is not winding down into permanent darkness, but constantly preparing for its next brilliant act. This invisible mist is the eternal wellspring of all cosmic vitality. Sometimes, the drifting gas gracefully gathers into delicate wispy clouds that glow faintly under the searing ultraviolet light of nearby, violent young suns. These fragile, illuminated structures, resembling ghostly apparitions in the deep, transform the invisible medium into breathtaking canvases of ethereal blue and crimson. The surrounding stellar radiation acts as a cosmic spotlight, revealing the incredibly complex, turbulent flow of the once-hidden interstellar currents. If we carefully observe these reflection nebulae, we can trace the exact boundaries where the cold void finally meets the expanding warmth of stellar ignition. The faint, dusty scent of a cosmic desert is temporarily replaced by the energetic, vibrant buzz of newly ionized material lighting up the darkness. It is a fleeting, beautiful interaction where the ancient resting gas is briefly awakened by the sheer exuberance of newborn celestial giants. These glowing phenomena serve as vital, luminous signposts, mapping out the densest, most active intersections of the interstellar highway. They provide astronomers with a rare, spectacular glimpse into the immediate chaotic environment surrounding a freshly minted solar system. The gentle fluorescence is a quiet visual symphony, celebrating the temporary union of pure light and primordial shadow. In this staggering sensory deprivation, the sheer isolation of the cosmos becomes a tangible, physical weight pressing against the imagination. One would exist in a perfect crystalline deep freeze, suspended in a void where the passing of time itself seems to entirely lose its meaning. The harsh, biting chill preserves the fragile chemistry of the dust grains, acting as a flawless galactic refrigerator for the essential building blocks of life. To endure such profound cold and silence is to understand the true, uncompromising nature of the space that dominates our universe. It is an environment completely hostile to biological warmth, yet it paradoxically remains the absolute prerequisite for the eventual emergence of all living things. The great silence is not empty, but deeply expectant. Even in its absolute thinnest, most ghostly patches, the interstellar medium successfully weaves a continuous, unbroken tapestry across the entire expanse of the Milky Way. It completely bridges the yawning, terrifying chasms between the spiral arms, ensuring that no single star is ever truly isolated from the greater galactic community. This incredibly sheer fabric stretches seamlessly for hundreds of thousands of light years, linking the ancient glowing core to the cold, fading fringes of the outer disk. Consider this invisible mist as the fundamental connective tissue of our local universe, a sprawling atmospheric web that binds billions of disparate solar systems into a single, cohesive entity. It allows for the slow, relentless exchange of chemical elements, ensuring that the heavy metals forged in one corner of the galaxy eventually fertilize another. The grand dusty scent of a cosmic desert pervades every cubic inch, a unifying essence that defines the shared environment of all celestial bodies. Through this continuous sweeping medium, the galaxy breathes, evolves, and communicates as one massive interconnected organism. It proves that the great voids of space are not walls that divide us, but beautiful drifting bridges that connect the vast, glittering islands of light. As we leave those glittering islands of light behind and venture deeper into the drifting bridges of gas, the ambient warmth of stellar radiation rapidly bleeds away. We cross an invisible threshold into regions defined by a biting absolute chill, where the temperature plunges to just a handful of degrees above absolute zero. This is the ultimate deep freeze of the cosmos, a sprawling thermal abyss that starkly contrasts with the fiery furnaces of the surrounding stars. In these profoundly frigid stretches, the very concept of heat becomes a distant, almost abstract memory. The sparse atomic particles suspended here are stripped of nearly all their kinetic energy, robbed of the frantic motion that characterizes warmer spaces. Such extreme thermal deprivation creates an environment that is utterly hostile to any biological conception of comfort, yet perfectly calibrated for galactic preservation. Surprisingly, this bone-chilling cold is not an anomaly, but rather the default state of the deepest cosmic shadows. It is a pervasive, unrelenting frost that dominates immense volumes of the galaxy's invisible architecture. Understanding this freezing environment is the first step in unraveling the quiet, patient chemistry that precedes the birth of entirely new solar systems. Deep within these frozen sanctuaries, the frenetic dance of matter is subdued into a graceful, almost imperceptible crawl. Because heat is simply the measure of microscopic motion, the biting cold forces individual atoms to drift with agonizing slowness. If we could observe a single helium particle here, it would appear to be moving through a thick invisible molasses. This sluggish pace fundamentally alters how matter interacts in the dark, stretching chemical processes across unimaginable gulfs of time. Collisions between drifting elements become exceptionally rare and astonishingly gentle, resembling the slow-motion docking of immense spacecraft rather than violent impacts. The violent chaos found near active stars is entirely extinguished, replaced by a profound and heavy lethargy. Notice how the absolute chill enforces a strict speed limit on the very building blocks of reality. It is a kinetic hibernation that freezes the chaotic potential of the gas into a state of suspended animation. Here, the universe demonstrates its extraordinary capacity for patience, allowing eons to pass between the slightest molecular interactions. Picture these immense, hyper-cold molecular clouds functioning as colossal galactic refrigerators, specifically designed to protect delicate structures. By arresting the chaotic motion of particles, the biting cold prevents newly formed chemical bonds from vibrating apart. It creates a supremely stable sanctuary where fragile compounds can accumulate and endure without the threat of thermal destruction. Within these shadowy vaults, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen are granted the extraordinary luxury of uninterrupted time to bond and evolve. Complex chemistry that would instantly vaporize near a stellar core can survive here for billions of years in pristine condition. The sheer scale of this cosmic preservation effort ensures that the basic frozen ingredients for terrestrial planets are never lost to the fiery void. Allow your breathing to slow, syncing your own quiet rhythm with the patient, enduring stillness of these cosmic vaults. Just as your resting body conserves its energy in moments of deep relaxation, the universe hoards its chemical potential in these frigid, shadowy deeps. This parallel of resting states reminds us that periods of profound dormancy are essential for all complex systems to thrive. This biting, absolute chill serves a critical architectural purpose, acting as the ultimate counterbalance to the outward pressure of the drifting gas. If these dark clouds retained any significant heat, their internal thermal energy would cause them to continuously expand and disperse. The freezing temperatures rob the gas of its buoyancy, rendering it sluggish, heavy, and highly susceptible to the gentle tug of mass. Without this extreme cold, the subtle, patient force of gravity would never be able to successfully gather enough material to trigger a stellar ignition. The profound frost is the exact mechanism that allows incredibly diffuse matter to condense, collapse, and ultimately crush itself into a new sun. It is a magnificent cosmic paradox that the hottest, most violent fires in the universe must be born from the deepest, quietest freezes. If we were to look closer at the birth of a solar system, we would see that cold is not the enemy of creation, but its most vital catalyst. The chilling shadows provide the essential heavy stillness required for gravity to weave its inevitable collapsing magic. Thus, the frozen voids are actually the fertile, expectant soil from which all future light will eventually erupt. As the gathering gas and dust become increasingly dense, they construct an impenetrable fortress against the glaring illumination of the surrounding galaxy. Deep within the core of these dark nebulae, passing starlight is entirely absorbed or scattered long before it can reach the interior. This aggressive shielding creates isolated pockets of absolute pristine darkness, hidden completely from the luminous chaos outside. To journey into the heart of such a cloud would be to experience a visual deprivation more complete than the deepest subterranean cave. Not a single stray photon from the billions of neighbouring stars manages to pierce the thick protective shell of frozen dust. This is an environment defined entirely by the absence of light, a pure and unadulterated shadow suspended in the void. Notice how this profound darkness acts as a necessary shield, fostering an environment where delicate cosmic processes can unfold in total secrecy. It is a lightless cocoon that isolates the interior from the harsh, energetic radiation that dominates the wider galaxy. Within this absolute blackness, the quiet, slow-motion ballet of celestial formation proceeds entirely unseen. Suspended within this absolute biting darkness are microscopic grains of solid carbon and silicates, acting as tiny anchors in the freezing current. Because the ambient temperature is so exceptionally low, ambient gases like water, carbon monoxide, and ammonia freeze directly onto their surfaces. This process gradually coats the rocky cores in thick, microscopic mantles of pristine cosmic ice. Picture these frost-covered specks drifting through the void, continuously catching passing atoms just like ice, accumulating on a frigid winter windowpane. Each collision adds a new, infinitesimally small layer of frozen material, expanding the grain's frozen shell molecule by molecule. These icy mantles become the primary reservoirs for water in the universe, locking away vast oceans of potential fluid in a solid, frozen state. Feel the solid weight of your own body settling into your chair, grounded and steady against the physical pull of the Earth. In a remarkably similar fashion, these drifting atoms finally find a solid surface to cling to, ending their lonely journey across the darkness. The formation of these icy layers is the first crucial step in turning scattered, ghostly gas into tangible, solid matter. The combination of pure darkness and thick, icy mantles creates a uniquely sheltered laboratory for the universe's most delicate chemistry. Outside these clouds, harsh ultraviolet radiation acts as a destructive cosmic shear, brutally tearing apart any newly formed molecular bonds. But deep inside the cold shadows, that lethal, energetic light is entirely blocked by the surrounding dust. This chilling, shielded environment allows highly complex, fragile molecules to easily survive and accumulate without the constant threat of being irradiated. Carbon atoms link together into intricate chains and rings, forming the critical organic precursors to biological life entirely in the dark. The biting chill ensures these delicate structures remain perfectly frozen and preserved, safe from the violent energy of the open galaxy. Surprisingly, the harshest, coldest environments in space are the very sanctuaries that protect the fragile chemical seeds of habitability. It is within these lightless, freezing vaults that the fundamental building blocks of terrestrial biology first assemble and stabilize. The grand cosmic refrigerator faithfully guards its precious organic cargo, waiting for the moment it will be delivered to a nascent planet. To travel physically into the core of these cold shadows would be to encounter a sensory deprivation that challenges the limits of the human mind. Because the gas is both incredibly sparse and profoundly frozen, there are no flowing currents, no turbulent winds, and absolutely no sound. It is an environment of such total, uncompromising stillness that it is entirely unmatched anywhere else in the physical universe. Imagine floating in a space where the concept of change has been slowed to an almost imperceptible glacial crawl. The absolute absence of light and the total cessation of heat create a reality that feels eternally paused, stripped of all dynamic energy. In this profound quiet, the sheer scale of the cosmos is matched only by its breathtaking capacity for total silence. This unmatched stillness is not a terrifying emptiness, but rather a deeply peaceful, resting state of the celestial fabric. It is a necessary pause in the frantic, burning life cycle of matter, a quiet intermission between the explosive deaths of old suns and the bright ignition of new ones. To experience this absolute calm is to touch the resting pulse of the galactic machinery. Because these shadowy cradles absorb all visible light and emit absolutely none of their own, they are completely invisible to standard optical observation. They appear only as stark, terrifying holes in the starry background, dark silhouettes masking the brilliant light of the distant background. To pierce this veil of darkness, observers must tune their instruments to entirely different, invisible frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum. Deep within the cold, the frozen molecules occasionally tumble and shift, releasing incredibly faint whispers of radio and infrared energy. By carefully collecting these long, sluggish wavelengths, astronomers can finally trace the hidden contours and dense, collapsing cores of these invisible sanctuaries. It is akin to using a sophisticated thermal camera to reveal the shape of a massive sleeping beast hidden deep within a pitch-black cave. Relax your shoulders and take a slow, deep breath, trusting the invisible oxygen that fills your lungs and sustains your awareness. In much the same way, we must trust these invisible wavelengths to reveal the hidden, life-giving structures suspended in the cosmic dark. The universe requires us to look beyond the limits of our own eyes to comprehend the sheer scale of its hidden, frozen architecture. The defining characteristic of these dark, icy regions is their profound and overarching chemical and thermal neutrality. Stripped of harsh radiation and robbed of all kinetic heat, the gas exists in a wonderfully peaceful, highly balanced state of equilibrium. It is an ocean of matter that has settled into the lowest possible energy configuration, resting quietly in the deep cosmic freeze. This extreme balanced cold transforms the vast clouds into a sleeping, dormant state of matter, hovering delicately on the brink of transformation. They are not dead, but merely hibernating, their immense mass suspended in a perfect, fragile tension against the subtle pull of their own gravity. The entire structure exists in a state of breathtaking anticipation, holding its breath across thousands of light years. All it takes to awaken this sleeping giant is the slightest, most subtle gravitational nudge from a passing star or a distant shockwave. That gentle, invisible push is enough to shatter the freezing equilibrium, initiating the slow, unstoppable collapse that will eventually ignite the dark. The biting, absolute chill is simply the long, peaceful night before the glorious dawn of a new solar genesis. When that glorious dawn finally breaks, the sudden ignition of massive, hyperluminous giants violently shatters the long, peaceful cosmic night. These newborn behemoths immediately flood their surrounding environment with a searing torrent of extreme ultraviolet radiation, drastically altering the local thermal landscape. The intense, high-energy light pierces through the remnants of the cold shadows, violently heating the very gas that birthed them until it begins to violently fluoresce. Instead of a gentle awakening, this is an explosive transition where the dormant atomic particles are supercharged, vibrating with a frantic, newfound kinetic energy. The sheer power of these young suns strips away the tranquility of the dark, replacing it with a radiant, chaotic fervour. To witness this ignition is to see the quiet, patient potential of the void suddenly unleashed into a roaring, luminous spectacle. Notice how the surrounding mist, once a shield of absolute darkness, is forcefully conscripted into this fiery awakening, transforming from a frozen cocoon into a blazing cosmic beacon. The immediate vicinity of the star becomes a brilliant, radiant furnace, fundamentally rewriting the physical rules that govern the space for eons. It is the dramatic, violent climax of the slow, gravitational collapse, announcing a new era of light to the wider galaxy. As the surrounding hydrogen absorbs this punishing ultraviolet barrage, it begins to paint the cosmos with brilliant, sweeping ribbons of warm, ethereal red luminescence. These vast structures, known as emission nebulae, unfurl across the darkness like magnificent glowing tapestries woven from pure, energized gas. The sheer scale of these crimson and magenta brushstrokes turns the local void into a breathtaking, immersive masterpiece of celestial artistry. Deep within these illuminated clouds, the stark, monochromatic palette of the deep freeze is entirely replaced by a vibrant, energetic spectrum. The distinct pinkish-red hue is the unmistakable physical signature of primordial hydrogen crying out as it is bombarded by stellar fire. These glowing formations are completely different from the subtle, scattered light of other clouds, as they are actively generating their own vivid photons. If we were to look closer, we would realize that this beautiful coloration is the visual translation of raw, blistering heat radiating through the void. The dark, hidden architecture of the stellar nursery is suddenly laid bare, traced in striking neon colours against the blackness of deep space. It is a spectacular visual reward for millions of years of patient, invisible accumulation in the freezing shadows. Notice how this vast expanse of excited hydrogen essentially functions like a colossal, naturally occurring neon sign suspended in the absolute dark. Just as an electrical current passing through a glass tube causes earthly gases to brightly glow, the young stars pump devastating amounts of energy into the surrounding celestial mist. The sheer volume of this illuminated material creates a glowing beacon that can easily be seen from thousands of light years away. The physics governing a city street lamp are playing out here on an unimaginably grandiose scale, stretching across entire sectors of space. Each individual atom acts as a microscopic bulb, contributing its tiny flash of red light to a magnificent, synchronized cosmic display. Together they form a blindingly bright advertisement for the stellar nursery, proudly announcing the successful birth of a new cluster of suns. Take a moment to relax your eyes and soften your gaze, allowing the ambient light of your own environment to gently wash over your vision. In a surprisingly similar way, the surrounding galactic neighbourhood is gently bathed in this warm, ethereal red luminescence, softening the harsh edges of the surrounding void. The intense, localized energy provides a comforting, glowing hearth in the otherwise unforgiving, expansive deep freeze. Surprisingly, this steady, brilliant illumination is the result of a frantic, microscopic war being waged continuously at the atomic level. The intense ultraviolet radiation constantly tears electrons entirely away from their host protons, leaving a chaotic soup of violently separated, electrically charged particles. This brutal process of ionization creates a turbulent, invisible plasma that churns and boils around the central stellar furnaces. However, this atomic separation is fleeting, as the wandering electrons are inevitably recaptured by the positive pull of nearby protons, beautifully recombining in the darkness. It is precisely during this joyous atomic reunion that the electrons release their excess energy in the form of soft, colourful crimson photons. The entire glowing nebula is simply the visual echo of trillions of these tiny continuous reunions happening every single second. This constant cycle of violent separation and peaceful recombination ensures the steady, uninterrupted glow of the massive celestial cloud. The gas is trapped in an endless rhythmic dance of tearing apart and coming back together, driven by the relentless beating of the stellar heart. It perfectly illustrates how the universe translates brutal atomic destruction into breathtakingly beautiful, warm light. Looking up from our terrestrial vantage point, the sword of the legendary celestial hunter offers a perfect, easily visible example of this glowing, heated material. Nestled within that familiar constellation lies a massive churning emission nebula, a blazing cauldron of starbirth raging in our own cosmic backyard. Even with a modest telescope, the warm, ethereal red luminescence of this specific nursery spills across the eyepiece like a delicate glowing flower. This particular complex serves as the ultimate laboratory for understanding how brilliant young suns violently interact with their primordial surroundings. By studying its glowing ribbons, astronomers can map the chaotic flows of ionized plasma and measure the exact temperatures of the fluorescing gas. It stands as a celestial key for decoding the complex, vibrant mechanics of these heated cosmic environments. This radiant structure bridges the unimaginable gulf between the abstract physics of the void and something we can witness directly with our own eyes. It serves as a tangible, glowing reminder that these violent, beautiful processes are actively occurring relatively close to our own solar neighbourhood. We are given a breathtaking seat to the magnificent, fiery transformation of the local interstellar environment. These brightly illuminated structures are not small, localized phenomena, but immense, sprawling regions that can easily span dozens of light years across the dark. To cross from one side of such a glowing ribbon to the other would take a beam of light multiple generations to complete its incredible journey. The sheer physical footprint of these heated zones makes them some of the largest contiguous, visible entities in the observable universe. As this vast volume of gas violently fluoresces, it effectively warms the immediate local void with its energetic, radiant brilliance. The ambient temperature of the surrounding space is forcefully raised, pushing back the encroaching chill of the cold shadows that birthed it. It is a majestic, expanding sphere of thermal influence that aggressively claims its own territory within the freezing expanse. Allow the tension in your hands to release, letting your palms rest openly as you absorb the quiet warmth of your immediate surroundings. Just as your body heat creates a small, comforting aura of temperature around you, these glowing clouds project a massive, comforting thermal bubble into the deep space around them. This localized heating provides a crucial counterbalance to the profound cold that dominates the wider galactic disk. It is not only the newly minted giants that contribute to this glowing, heated tapestry, but also the spectacular deaths of ancient, massive titans. When an old star catastrophically explodes, it sends a violently expanding shell of superheated plasma racing outward into the surrounding silent mist. The incredible kinetic energy of this shockwave instantly ionizes the material it slams into, creating intricate glowing filaments of displaced material. These majestic supernova remnants weave thin, delicate threads of vibrant colour through the dark, adding an entirely different texture to the warm, ethereal red luminescence. While newborn suns create solid, sweeping ribbons of light, these dying explosions paint the void with shattered gossamer webs of energized plasma. They are the glowing ghosts of deceased stars, violently interacting with the quiet gas long after their central cores have faded. If we carefully trace these delicate, glowing tendrils, we can map the exact trajectory of the explosive shockwave as it plows through the void. It is a stunning visual paradox where the ultimate destruction of a star triggers a sudden, violent burst of radiant beauty in the surrounding space. The cosmic mist is illuminated just as brightly by a glorious death as it is by a newborn ignition. As the superheated ionized gas rapidly expands outward, it acts as a relentless luminous wind that aggressively sculpts the surrounding colder material. The immense radiation pressure physically pushes away the lighter mist, while denser knots of frozen dust stubbornly resist the fiery onslaught. This violent erosion carves intricate, towering pillars and deep, shadowy caverns out of the once featureless boundaries of the dark nebula. Picture monumental, statuesque columns of black dust standing defiantly against a blazing crimson background, slowly boiling away under the intense stellar glare. These magnificent sculpted formations are the literal battlegrounds where the expanding heat of new suns clashes violently with the stubborn cold of the ancient shadows. The sheer force of the glowing hydrogen effectively hollows out massive illuminated bubbles within the freezing dense clouds. The topography of the region is dramatically and permanently altered, transformed from a uniform fog into a highly textured, mountainous landscape of gas. It is a process of cosmic architecture driven entirely by the destructive, eroding power of extreme radiation and violent heat. The resulting illuminated structures are fragile, temporary masterpieces carved directly into the edge of the abyss. Despite their overwhelming brilliance and immense scale, these beautifully illuminated regions represent only a very brief, glorious spring in the incredibly long life cycle of the surrounding matter. The massive, hyperluminous stars that power these glowing ribbons burn through their nuclear fuel at a terrifying, reckless pace. Within a few million years, an incredibly short duration on the cosmic clock, these energetic giants will sputter, die, and completely fade away. When their central furnaces finally extinguish, the intense ultraviolet radiation abruptly ceases, and the violent fluorescence of the surrounding mist immediately halts. The warm, ethereal red luminescence will dim and eventually vanish, allowing the biting, absolute chill to slowly reclaim its lost territory. The vibrant pinks and magenta ribbons are merely a fleeting, spectacular season of light sandwiched between endless eons of profound darkness. Take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air comfortably fill your lungs before it inevitably releases and cycles back out into the room. This rhythmic rise and fall beautifully mirrors the fleeting, energetic breath of the illuminated clouds, expanding brilliantly before inevitably subsiding back into the cold. It reminds us that even the most spectacular energetic phenomena in the universe are ultimately temporary, yielding to the patient endurance of the void. Ultimately, looking at these magnificent glowing structures reveals the invisible breath of newborn stars forcefully exhaling out into the wider galactic environment. The bright ribbons of plasma are simply the visual manifestation of immense stellar energy, bleeding out into the resting space around it. It is the exact moment when a young cluster of suns aggressively announces its presence and begins to actively reshape its immediate neighborhood. The surrounding gas, once a silent and impartial observer, becomes an active, glowing participant in the dispersal of this immense, newly forged energy. By tracking the flow and the fade of the warm luminescence, we're effectively watching the universe exhale, pushing warmth and kinetic force out into the deep freeze. This radiant interaction is the vital, energetic link between the isolated stellar cores and the vast, spanning bridges of the wider galaxy. This beautiful, violent fluorescence ensures that the birth of a star is never a quiet, isolated event, but a profound transformation of the entire local landscape. The surrounding mist catches and magnifies this energetic breath, turning a single point of ignition into a sprawling, majestic beacon of warm light. It perfectly illustrates how the fiery potential of the deep shadows is finally realized and triumphantly released into the cosmos. As this triumphant energy is released into the cosmos, it illuminates a finer, grittier reality that has been hiding within the glowing gas all along. Scattered throughout the vast gaseous reservoirs of our galaxy are tiny, solid particles, no larger than the microscopic soot found in a plume of earthly smoke. These grains are the solid foundation of the interstellar medium, drifting like silent ghosts amidst the far more abundant atoms of hydrogen and helium. Though they are small enough to be carried by the faintest stellar winds, these particles possess a staggering cumulative influence over the evolution of the galaxy. They're composed of hardy materials like silicates and carbon, formed in the intense crucibles of distant stars before being cast into the void. This microscopic debris creates a subtle, grainy texture in the otherwise ethereal space between the stars, providing the only tangible surfaces in a world of ghosts. If we were to reach out and touch this cosmic mist, we would find it surprisingly abrasive, a fine-grained sediment that has been settling across the light years for billions of years. It is a persistent, ancient grit that permeates every sector of the Milky Way, waiting for the moment it can coalesce into something far more substantial. This solid presence transforms the void into a fertile, dusty landscape, teeming with hidden potential. If we were to trace the ancient lineage of this grit, we would find its origin in the cooling outer atmospheres of dying, bloated red giant stars. As these elderly titans reach the end of their lives, they exhale their final breaths in the form of massive, relatively cool winds of gas. In this slightly lower temperature, heavy elements like iron and silicon finally find the peace to condense into solid flakes, much like frost forming on a winter's night. This stellar ash is then forcefully cast out into the deep void, seeding the galaxy with the first tangible materials capable of forming a solid world. These dying stars act as the great foundries of the cosmos, manufacturing the solid soot that will eventually settle into the cradles of newborn systems. Every grain carries the physical memory of the star that forged it, a tiny piece of a dead sun travelling toward a new destiny. Surprisingly, the universe depends entirely on this cycle of decay to provide the building blocks for future complexity. The death of one generation of stars provides the necessary sediment for the next, ensuring that the interstellar medium is constantly enriched with new, solid matter. It is a beautiful, rhythmic process of cosmic recycling that turns the ash of the past into the foundation of the future. Surprisingly, these microscopic silicates and carbon flakes are the very architects of the dark, seemingly starless patches that disrupt the luminous spill of the Milky Way. Though each grain is infinitesimally small, their cumulative presence creates a formidable barrier that swallows the light of 1 trillion distant suns. They act as the great curtains of the galactic stage, carving out silhouettes of absolute shadow against the glittering background of the disk. When we look up and see the Great Rift or the coal sack, we are not seeing an absence of stars, but rather the overwhelming density of this cosmic soot. The dust is so efficient at absorbing visible light that it can turn a brilliant stellar cluster into a ghostly, invisible memory. These dark lanes are the physical evidence of the interstellar medium's incredible power to hide even the most brilliant features of our galaxy. Notice the gentle weight of your own body as it settles into a state of total rest, anchored firmly by the silent pull of the earth beneath you. In a similar way, these massive clouds of dust provide a heavy, stabilizing presence within the galaxy, grounding the ethereal gas with their solid, light-blocking mass. This dark architecture defines the visual shape of our home, providing the contrast necessary to appreciate the light. As the vibrant starlight strikes this fine-grained debris, a delicate physical filtering takes place across the vastness of the spiral arms. The dust particles are specifically sized to scatter the short, energetic blue wavelengths of light in every direction, preventing them from reaching our eyes in a straight line. What remains to pass through this screen is only a warm, reddish glow, effectively bathing the distant reaches of the universe in a permanent sunset-like hue. This phenomenon explains why the stars situated behind dense clouds appear far redder than they truly are, a celestial trick known as interstellar reddening. The dust acts as a natural prism, stripping away the cool tones and leaving behind the deep amber colours of a twilight that never ends. It is a visual testament to the long and arduous journey light must take through the gritty corridors of the interstellar medium. If we were to look closer, we would see that this scattering is not a loss of information, but a transformation of it. The red light carries the story of every grain it encountered, a chromatic diary of the materials that fill the gaps between the suns. This warm luminescence provides a soothing, colourful filter for the otherwise harsh and unforgiving radiation of the deep void. Picture these drifting grains acting not just as filters, but as miniature floating laboratories where the first complex organic molecules begin their assembly. In the profound silence and cold of the interstellar medium, the surfaces of these dust specks provide the only meeting ground for wandering atoms. They act as catalysts, bringing together hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen in a way that allows them to bond and transform into the precursors of life. Without these tiny solid platforms, the chemistry of the void would remain far too simple and sparse to ever foster the building blocks of biology. Atoms that would otherwise pass each other in the darkness are trapped on the icy surfaces of the dust, given the time and proximity needed to react. This microscopic alchemy occurs across eons, slowly building a chemical library that will one day seed a new world with life. Relax the muscles in your jaw and neck, letting the tension drift away like the fine, unhurried mist of the cosmic deep. Just as your body naturally organizes its own complex chemistry without effort, the universe uses these dust grains to quietly arrange the molecules of the future. This patient, microscopic labor is the secret engine of complexity in an otherwise chaotic and diffuse cosmos. This structure is a masterpiece of efficiency, where the dust accounts for only a meagre 1% of the interstellar medium's total mass. Yet, despite its extreme scarcity, this microscopic soot completely dictates the thermal balance of the entire galactic environment. It absorbs the searing, high-energy radiation from nearby stars and re-emits it as a gentle, low-energy infrared heat, cooling the gas cloud significantly. Without this cooling mechanism, the gas would remain far too hot and energetic to ever succumb to the quiet tug of gravity. The dust acts as a cosmic radiator, shedding the excess energy of the galaxy into the dark so that new stars can finally begin their collapse. It is the ultimate thermostat, ensuring that the interstellar medium remains at the precise temperature required for the continued cycle of birth and death. Surprisingly, the most massive structures in the universe are utterly dependent on this 1% of gritty matter to regulate their physical state. The dust provides the essential thermal stability that allows the galaxy to breathe and maintain its structural integrity over billions of years. It is a magnificent example of how the smallest components of a system can exert the most absolute control over its destiny. When these elongated grains are swept into the invisible currents of galactic magnetic fields, they align themselves like tiny, obedient compass needles. This precise orientation causes the light passing through them to become subtly polarized, vibrating in a single, unified direction across the light years. By measuring this faint, rhythmic shimmer, we can map the hidden magnetic skeletons that hold the gas and stars in their majestic orbits. This alignment transforms the dusty clouds into a vast celestial lens that reveals the secret geometry of the Milky Way's magnetic heart. The dust does not just block light, it organizes it, turning a chaotic flood of photons into a coherent and structured signal. It is as if the very darkness itself is trying to tell us about the invisible forces that govern the motion of all things. Every atom of iron in your blood or silicon in the glass of your windows once spent billions of years drifting as a lonely speck of this cosmic dust. These particles are the ancient physical ancestors of our own reality, surviving the harsh radiation and cold shadows of the void for eons. They travelled through the great whispering voids long before the Earth was even a whisper of a thought in the mind of the cosmos. We are, quite literally, the gathered and processed remains of the interstellar medium's finest sediment. Every solid object you have ever touched was once a microscopic flake of soot, exhaled by a dying red giant and carried by the winds of space. This realization bridges the gap between the monumental scale of the galaxy and the intimate details of our daily lives. This ancient lineage serves as a profound connection to the history of the universe, proving that we are not separate from the stars, but made of their very ashes. The gritty texture of the cosmic desert is the same material that eventually smoothed out to become the skin of our ancestors. We are the interstellar medium become conscious of itself, reflecting on its own long and dusty journey. Deep within the churning gravitational disks of newly forming solar systems, these individual particles are eventually swept up and pressed together in a violent constructive embrace. Through a process of relentless microscopic accretion, the drifting soot grows into pebbles, then boulders, and finally the massive rocky cores of terrestrial planets. The solid ground beneath your feet is nothing more than a staggering accumulation of this ancient interstellar debris, compressed by the weight of time and gravity. Surprisingly, the majestic mountains and deep valleys we see around us are simply the final organized state of that fine microscopic smoke. The planet is a massive archive of the interstellar medium, a physical monument to the billions of years it spent as a cloud of drifting dust. This solid reality is the triumphant conclusion to the dust's long and lonely dance through the dark. Without this subtle, floating soot, the universe would remain a realm of ghosts, a place where solid ground could never have materialized anywhere. The majestic complexity of rocky peaks, fertile valleys, and vast continents would be impossible in a cosmos made only of ethereal, untouchable gas. We owe the very existence of our physical home to these tiny, gritty particles that have danced through the darkness since the galaxy was young. The dust is the essential bridge between the gaseous potential of the Big Bang and the solid reality of the world we inhabit. It provides the friction, the surface, and the mass necessary to turn the abstract laws of physics into a place where life can finally take root. Every mountain range is a silent hymn to the microscopic soot that once drifted in the absolute silence of the deep void. As we look out into the night, we are not just seeing light and dark, but the fundamental materials that allowed us to exist. The interstellar medium, in all its gritty and elusive glory, is the true architect of the solid universe. It reminds us that even in the vastness of space, the smallest speck of dust carries the weight of an entire world. The weight of the world begins as a subtle, nearly imperceptible chemical stir deep within the light-starved reservoirs of our galaxy. Inside the absolute silence of these darkest clouds, the atoms of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen finally find the peace required to shed their ancient isolation. In these sheltered pockets, they begin to forge surprisingly complex molecular bonds, turning the vacuum into an invisible, thriving laboratory of prebiotic potential. This transformation marks a shift from a universe of lonely, drifting atoms to one of structured, complex chemicals. The profound stillness of the cold allows these elements to find one another with a precision that would be impossible near the chaotic fire of a sun. Here, in the freezing gloom, the interstellar medium reveals its true nature as an active, patient pharmacy, where the building blocks of matter are meticulously assembled. Surprisingly, the very darkness we once perceived as empty is actually the most chemically fertile environment in the cosmos. It is a place where the most delicate architectures of matter are allowed to take shape, shielded from the destructive glare of the surrounding stars. This hidden chemistry is the silent foundation upon which the entire biological history of the universe is eventually built. Surprisingly, one of the most prolific residents of this shadowy domain is carbon monoxide, a simple yet exceptionally sturdy molecule that radiates a distinct spectral signature into the void. This abundant compound acts as a reliable beacon, allowing astronomers to trace the hidden serpentine structures of the galaxy that would otherwise remain lost in total darkness. By mapping the cold, radio frequency hum emitted by this specific gas, we can see the grand architecture of the interstellar medium as if looking through a high-definition night vision lens. The carbon monoxide molecules act as a ghostly outline, defining the boundaries of the great molecular clouds where stars are waiting to be born. It is a sturdy chemical sentinel, surviving the harsh conditions of space to tell us exactly where the matter of the galaxy is huddling together. Without this spectral fingerprint, our maps of the Milky Way would be incomplete, missing the vast and intricate networks of gas that connect the glowing stellar clusters. Notice how this invisible gas provides a sense of scale and order to the seemingly chaotic reaches of the deep void. It reminds us that even in the most remote corners of the universe, there are specific, measurable signals that can lead us toward the truth. Carbon monoxide is the quiet cartographer of the cosmos, charting the path through the shadows for those who know how to listen. If we were to look closer at these molecular reservoirs, we would encounter gargantuan clouds containing enough ethyl alcohol to fill trillions of terrestrial oceans. This vast, intoxicating mist drifts through the deep, a colossal distillery of the stars that suggests the chemical palette of the universe is far more familiar than we might dare to imagine. The sharp, familiar scent of alcohol hangs in the cold vacuum, a sensory reminder that the complex ingredients of our own world are distributed on a truly gargantuan scale. Imagine floating through a reservoir that spans light years, where the very air is thick with the chemical signature of spirits. It is a staggering display of cosmic abundance, where the materials we associate with human culture are revealed to be fundamental, widespread components of the galactic environment. This vast store of alcohol is not an anomaly, but a natural byproduct of the complex interactions occurring within the interstellar deep. This sensory connection to the void bridges the gap between our domestic lives and the alien reaches of the spiral arms. It suggests that the materials required for complexity are not rare or precious, but are being manufactured by the ton in the silent gaps between the stars. The universe, it seems, is far more lush and chemically diverse than its empty appearance would suggest. Alongside these spirits, plumes of ammonia and formaldehyde drift gracefully through the void, defying the harsh, ionizing radiation of their environment. These chemicals, often associated with the pungent odors of earthly life and preservation, exist here in their purest, most primordial forms. They swirl in the dark like ghosts of industry, proving that even the most complex and reactive molecules can find a stable refuge in the vast protective folds of the interstellar medium. Surprisingly, these molecules are not just drifting, they are participating in a grand chemical symphony that has been playing for billions of years. Ammonia provides the nitrogen necessary for the most vital biological structures, while formaldehyde acts as a reactive bridge toward even more complex organic compounds. They are the versatile tools in the galaxy's chemical toolkit, ready to be used whenever the conditions for life finally arrive. As you feel the steady rhythm of your own pulse, a quiet biological ticking, realize that the galaxy possesses its own slow-moving heartbeat. Just as your body relies on these same chemical elements to sustain your awareness, the interstellar medium uses them to maintain its own structural vitality. This parallel of chemistry reminds us that we are deeply and permanently connected to the molecular flows of the deep. Recent discoveries have pushed this chemical symphony even further, revealing simple sugars and amino acid precursors suspended in the biting interstellar chill. Within the heart of these cold sanctuaries, the very alphabet of biology is being quietly transcribed into the fabric of space. We find molecules that taste of sweetness and carry the blueprint for protein, drifting in a place where no life has yet begun to breathe. This discovery fundamentally changes our understanding of how life begins, suggesting that the ingredients for a world like ours are already present long before a planet is ever formed. The sugar glycolaldehyde drifts through the dark, a sweet promise of the complexity that is destined to follow in the wake of stellar birth. It is a profound realization that the seeds of our own existence are floating in the very air of the galaxy. If we were to look closer, we would see that these sugars are not just random accidents, but the result of a deliberate and inevitable chemical progression. The universe is predisposed toward complexity, using the cold and the dark to assemble the components of a future biological dawn. This sweetness in the dark is a testament to the creative power that resides in the most unlikely of places. These floating chemical factories suggest that the basic, essential ingredients for life are not rare anomalies, but are woven directly into the very fabric of the cosmos. The universe does not wait for a planet to form before it begins its biological experimentation. It prepares the chemistry of existence in the dark stretches between the stars. It is as if the galaxy itself is a fertile prebiotic soup, waiting to deliver its complex harvest to any nascent world that happens to pass through its currents. The interstellar medium acts as a cosmic delivery system, ensuring that every new solar system is seeded with the necessary components for habitability. We are not the products of a localized miracle, but the result of a widespread and deeply ingrained galactic process. This realization expands our sense of belonging, making the entire Milky Way feel like a vast and welcoming nursery for the potential of life. Take a moment to relax your shoulders and let your breath flow easily, trusting in the natural cycles of the world around you. In the same way, the universe proceeds with its chemical labor, confident that the right molecules will eventually find their way to the right places. This pervasive chemistry ensures that the potential for life is never truly lost, but is always drifting just out of sight. This molecular assembly depends entirely on the microscopic dust grains, which provide a vital, solid surface where wandering atoms can safely meet and react. In the immense sparsity of space, two atoms are unlikely to ever collide and bond while simply floating in a vacuum. Instead, they land on the icy mantles of these gritty specks, finding the proximity and stability required to build the complex chains of matter that define our reality. The dust acts as a microscopic landing pad, a tiny island of stability in an ocean of emptiness. It is on these surfaces that the first chemical bonds are forged, protected by a layer of interstellar ice that acts as a catalyst for the reaction. Without these grains, the chemistry of the void would remain far too simple and sparse to ever foster the building blocks of biology. Surprisingly, the most complex molecules in the universe owe their existence to these humble, gritty particles. The dust grains are the unsung heroes of the interstellar medium, providing the physical foundation for the entire symphony of floating molecules. They are the solid ground upon which the future of the galaxy is quietly being built. Surprisingly, the energy required to forge these new organic compounds comes from the most violent residents of the void, high-energy cosmic rays. These particles, travelling at nearly the speed of light, occasionally strike the icy mantles of the dust, providing the necessary energetic spark to fuse simple atoms into complex prebiotic structures. It is a magnificent irony that the same radiation that could destroy life acts as the very catalyst that synthesizes its fundamental building blocks in the dark. These high-speed nomads from distant supernovae act as the cosmic lightning that strikes the interstellar clouds. Each impact provides a burst of energy that breaks old bonds and creates new, more complex ones, driving the chemical evolution of the medium forward. It is a violent but necessary process, a brutal intervention that forces the cold matter to reorganize into something new. This interaction highlights the interconnectedness of all cosmic phenomena, where the death of a star can provide the spark for the beginning of life. The cosmic rays are the energetic messengers of the galaxy, carrying the force of the heavens into the quietest and darkest cradles. They ensure that the interstellar medium remains dynamic and productive, even in its most isolated reaches. We must adjust our understanding of time to appreciate the work that is being done in the dark. What seems like a static and empty void is actually a place of constant, though incredibly slow, creative activity. It is a patient craftsmanship that values the integrity of the final product over the speed of its production. Every chemical signature observed in these dark clouds tells a quiet, profound story of patience and cosmic inevitability. We are witnessing the slow, certain transition from simplicity to complexity, a process that ensures the universe will always, eventually, move toward the creation of something new. The sharp, familiar scent of sugar and alcohol in the void is the signature of a galaxy that is destined to be more than just empty space. This molecular symphony is the proof that the laws of physics are not just about motion and force, but about the emergence of structure and meaning. The interstellar medium is the stage where this drama is played out, a vast and silent arena where the future is being rehearsed in the dark. It is a journey that began with the first atoms of hydrogen and will continue until the last stars fade into the night. Ultimately, the chemical richness of the void is a reminder that we are part of an ongoing and deeply purposeful process. The interstellar medium is not just a place where stars are born, but a place where the universe dreams of life. This final realization ties the entire journey together, turning the cold shadows into a place of warmth, sweetness, and eternal hope. This sense of eternal hope finds a physical home in the very space we inhabit right now, as our own solar system is currently sailing through a vast, surprisingly empty cavity called the local bubble. This low-density region of the interstellar medium is a cavernous structure carved out by ancient events, spanning hundreds of light-years across our sector of the galaxy. We're moving through a hollowed-out section of space where the usual fog of gas has been cleared away, leaving a relatively clear path for our sun's long journey. The local bubble acts as a protective, low-density shield, allowing us a clearer view of the distant universe than would be possible if we were submerged in a thicker mist. This vast void is not merely empty space, but a specifically engineered environment resulting from the rhythmic cycles of galactic evolution. It serves as our immediate celestial neighbourhood, a quiet and spacious room within the bustling house of the Milky Way. This pristine emptiness was not a natural occurrence, but the result of immense, ancient violence acting as a cleansing force. Supernova explosions from millions of years ago acted as colossal cosmic brooms, physically sweeping the interstellar medium away from our immediate vicinity. These cataclysmic deaths release shockwaves so powerful they push the surrounding gas and dust outward with unstoppable momentum. The remnants of these explosions cleared the stage for our current environment, leaving behind a pristine void that we now call home. This clearing process ensured that our solar system is not currently obscured by the dense, opaque clouds that dominate other regions of the spiral arms. We live in the wake of giants, inhabiting a space that was forcefully prepared by the ultimate end of previous stellar generations. If we were to look to the edges of this void, we would see the incredible boundaries created by this outward push. Imagine immense walls of compressed gas expanding outward at supersonic speeds, creating beautiful and fragile shells across the local sector of the galaxy. These shells are the physical evidence of the struggle between the energy of dying stars and the resistance of the surrounding medium. They form shimmering, translucent barriers that mark the limits of where the ancient shockwaves finally began to lose their strength. These boundaries are not solid walls, but delicate interfaces where the material is thousands of times denser than the vacuum they enclose. They serve as the architectural framing for our local void, holding back the weight of the general galactic mist with their thinning momentum. Beyond the reach of supernovae, the constant breath of the living stars also plays a vital role in shaping the void. The fierce stellar winds from massive hot stars continuously sculpt and hollow out their surrounding neighbourhoods with a relentless, invisible pressure. This constant stream of charged particles acts like a high-pressure jet, carving complex shapes and empty pockets out of the dense molecular clouds. Take a moment to feel the subtle, rhythmic rise and fall of your chest as you breathe, and notice how your own life is a series of steady outgoing pressures. In a similar way, these massive stars exhale a constant force that defines the space around them. It is an ongoing process of architectural refinement that ensures the interstellar medium is never a static or uniform blanket, but a textured and hollowed landscape. This structure of hollowed-out spaces is not limited to isolated pockets, but forms a vast, interconnected network. These expanding bubbles can eventually collide with one another, merging their boundaries to form supergiant networks of tunnels throughout the galactic disk. These cosmic corridors allow particles and radiation to travel vast distances with minimal resistance, creating a labyrinthine map of empty space. The galaxy is effectively riddled with these immense hollow pathways that connect distant stellar nurseries in a shared, open architecture. This merging of voids creates a highway system for cosmic rays and light, allowing them to bypass the thickest obstacles of the medium. We reside in one small chamber of a gargantuan interconnected gallery that spans the entire reach of the spiral arms. Surprisingly, these seemingly empty cavities are filled with an invisible superheated presence that maintains their shape. Hot, X-ray emitting gas fills these immense cavities, maintaining a tenuous but vital pressure against the much colder and denser clouds waiting outside. Though the material is incredibly thin, its extreme temperature prevents the surrounding medium from collapsing back into the void. This invisible tension acts as the structural support for the bubbles, keeping the tunnels open and the boundaries sharp against the dark. If this gas were to cool, the pressure would fail, and the walls of the bubble would come crashing inward like a punctured lung. The persistence of these voids depends entirely on this hidden, energetic heat that keeps the interstellar medium at bay. The interaction at these boundaries is far from peaceful, often serving as the primary trigger for the next generation of light. The collision of these expanding winds with the surrounding medium triggers the sudden collapse of nearby dark nebulae, cascading into a new wave of star formation. As the wall of gas slams into a cold cloud, it compresses the material beyond its stability point, forcing gravity to take over. Allow your posture to soften, letting the weight of your body be supported entirely by the surface beneath you as you consider this cycle. The very force that clears the space also prepares the ground for the birth of new suns at its edges. It is a beautiful irony where the act of hollowing out a void creates the pressure necessary to fill it with new life. This constant churning and bubbling across the light years reveals that the interstellar medium is not a static graveyard. Instead, it is a dynamic, breathing entity that constantly expands and contracts in response to the energy of the stars within it. The galaxy effectively inhales and exhales through these massive bubbles, moving matter and energy in a rhythmic cycle of displacement and return. It is a living, fluctuating system where every movement in one sector ripples across the spans of the deep. The breathing of the medium ensures that elements are mixed and distributed, preventing the galaxy from becoming stagnant. This vitality is what allows the interstellar medium to remain a fertile ground for change over billions of years of history. Even within our own local neighbourhood, we can feel the subtle pressure of this grand galactic respiration. Our sun's protective heliosphere constantly pushes back against the gentle, incoming interstellar breeze that flows through the local bubble. This magnetic shield creates a sanctuary for our planets, deflecting the sweeping, gentle push of the phantom breeze that would otherwise flood our system with outside material. We are perpetually sailing through a headwind of galactic material, held at bay by the invisible strength of our own star. This interaction creates a distinct boundary, a bow shock where our local environment meets the wider medium. It is a quiet, ongoing struggle that defines the limit of our home and the beginning of the interstellar deep. Every structure in the cosmos, no matter how vast or energetic, eventually yields to the patient passage of time. Eventually, these immense bubbles will cool, dissipate, and be swallowed back into the general galactic mist from which they were carved. The superheated gas loses its energy, the pressure drops, and the surrounding cold clouds slowly reclaim the empty territory. This return to the default state completes the cycle, ensuring that every atom swept away is eventually returned to the reservoir of the interstellar medium. The hollowed-out spaces are temporary masterpieces, lasting for millions of years before being erased by the slow, steady flow of the cosmic ocean. We are witnessing a fleeting moment in a long rhythmic process of expansion and inevitable return. Threading through this long rhythmic process of expansion and return is a subtle, almost ghostly architecture that remains entirely invisible to the naked eye. An incredibly weak but vast network of galactic magnetic fields weaves itself through every wisp of gas and every microscopic grain of dust, providing a silent, pervasive structure to the interstellar medium. This network is not a static grid, but a living, shifting web that responds to the movement of the stars and the slow, heavy currents of the cosmic ocean. It reaches into the deepest, darkest molecular clouds and stretches across the most brilliant emission nebulae, ensuring that even the most diffuse regions of space are bound by a common thread of influence. If we could perceive these magnetic lines, the sky would not look empty, but would be filled with graceful, curving filaments of force that connect distant solar systems. They act as the quiet nerves of the galaxy, transmitting subtle tensions across thousands of light-years with a persistence that defies the void. This invisible web is the underlying blueprint of the interstellar medium, a delicate framework that persists even when the gas is swept away and the light of old stars begins to fade. It ensures that the space between the stars is never truly a vacuum of chaos, but a place of quiet, structural integrity. The silent presence of these fields guides the very evolution of the galaxy, acting as an unseen hand that directs the flow of time and matter. These lines of force guide the flow of charged particles with a gentle but uncompromising hand, acting like invisible highways that direct traffic across the vast cosmic void. Electrons and ions, caught in the grip of this magnetic influence, do not drift aimlessly through the deep, but follow the preordained paths set by the galactic field. This directed movement ensures that the energy of the interstellar medium is not lost to chaos, but is channeled into the great swirling structures that define our home. It is as if the universe has laid down a sophisticated network of tracks that prevent the high-speed residents of the void from colliding in a disorganized mess. Even the most energetic particles are forced to dance to the tune of this silent, invisible conductor, spiraling along the lines of force in a choreographed display of physics. These highways connect the energetic nurseries of the spiral arms to the quiet, lonely reaches of the outer disk, facilitating a constant exchange of matter and energy across the light years. Without these magnetic corridors, the charged material of the galaxy would be scattered like a fine mist in a gale, unable to find its way to the sites of new creation. The fields provide the necessary guidance for the raw materials of stars to find their destination with an efficiency that seems almost designed. This invisible infrastructure is the secret to the galaxy's ability to recycle its resources over and over again through the eons. Surprisingly, the sheer scale of this influence is achieved through a field that is nearly 100,000 times weaker than the magnetic force generated by our own planet. While a simple compass needle on Earth is swung by the robust pull of the planet's core, the magnetic fields of the interstellar medium are so faint they would be almost impossible to detect without specialized equipment. Yet, what they lack in raw intensity, they more than make up for in their gargantuan, all-encompassing reach across the entire Milky Way. This weak but persistent pull is enough to shape the behavior of massive gas clouds and influence the very rotation of the galactic disk itself. It is a testament to the power of cumulative influence over vast distances, where a tiny force applied consistently across millions of miles can eventually dictate the fate of millions of solar masses. The entire geometry of our home is quietly sculpted by this faint invisible tension, proving that in the cosmos, the most subtle forces often hold the most significant sway. If we were to look closer, we would see that this field is the primary reason the interstellar medium maintains its poise against the violent energy of the stars. It is a quiet, low-energy baseline that provides the necessary stability for the long-term survival of the galactic structure. The sheer vastness of the field allows it to act as a unifying force, binding the far-flung edges of the galaxy into a single, cohesive unit. Notice how this silent magnetic tension provides a crucial structural resistance, effectively preventing some of the most massive gas clouds from collapsing prematurely under their own immense weight. Gravity is a relentless, crushing force that seeks to pull everything toward a single, dense point. But the magnetic field lines act like the invisible, elastic tension of a drawn bowstring. They push back against the weight of the mist, holding the particles in a state of suspended, peaceful equilibrium until the time for starbirth is exactly right. As you observe the steady weight of your own body resting comfortably, feel the subtle tension in your muscles that keeps you balanced and grounded. In a remarkably similar fashion, the interstellar medium uses this magnetic pressure to stay propped up against the heavy pull of the galactic center. This invisible scaffolding ensures that star formation does not happen all at once in a violent, uncontrolled burst, but occurs as a slow, measured, and sustainable process across the ages. This resistance is the secret to the longevity of the galaxy, preventing it from exhausting its fuel in a single catastrophic event. The magnetic web acts as a cosmic regulator, tempering the raw power of gravity with its own gentle, persistent push. It is a masterpiece of celestial engineering, balancing the forces of contraction and expansion in a perfect, enduring dance. Deep within this invisible web, the highest energy residents of the void are trapped in a relentless, high-speed galactic pinball game. Cosmic rays, which are atomic nuclei moving at nearly the velocity of light, are forced to spiral in tight, dizzying loops around the magnetic field lines, rather than flying in straight lines through the abyss. This magnetic confinement keeps these energetic nomads within the bounds of the galaxy for millions of years, bouncing them from one sector to another in a silent, high-stakes game. This entrapment prevents the galaxy from leaking its most precious, high-energy potential into the intergalactic void, preserving the energetic vitality of the interstellar medium. The magnetic web acts as a cosmic mirror, reflecting these particles back into the thick of the gas and dust, where they can continue to spark new chemical reactions and provide warmth to the dark. It is a chaotic, hidden journey played out in the absolute silence of the deep, where the paths of these particles trace the hidden contours of the field. If we could see these paths, the galaxy would appear as a glowing tangle of light, filled with the frantic movement of these high-speed travelers. The magnetic lines act as the walls and bumpers of this immense arena, ensuring that the energy remains contained where it can be most useful. It is a beautiful irony that such a weak field can hold captive the most energetic particles in the universe. If we were to look closer at the light reaching us from distant stars, we would find that its very orientation has been altered by the graceful curving geometry of this hidden magnetic architecture. As starlight passes through the clouds, it encounters dust grains that have been perfectly aligned by the magnetic field, which forces the light waves to vibrate in a single unified direction. This subtle polarization of starlight acts as a celestial ink, allowing us to see the invisible lines of force sketched against the darkness. Allow your breath to slow and become a steady rhythmic flow, much like the organized vibration of this distant light as it travels toward your eyes. This alignment reveals that the interstellar medium is not a random collection of debris, but a highly structured environment where even the light itself must conform to an underlying order. Through the study of this polarization, we can map the sweeping, majestic curves of the galactic skeleton, finding beauty in the unseen rules that govern the deep. The polarization tells a story of a universe that is deeply interconnected, where a magnetic field a million miles away can change the quality of the light you see today. It is a subtle, elegant proof that nothing in the cosmos is truly isolated or random. The very photons that touch our eyes carry the signature of the invisible web they cross to reach us. This structure possesses a fascinating self-reinforcing quality where, as vast clouds of gas condense under the pull of gravity, they drag the magnetic field lines inward with them. This process, often called flux freezing, causes the local magnetic field to intensify and grow stronger as the matter becomes more concentrated and dense. The very act of a cloud trying to collapse causes the invisible tension to tighten, creating a dynamic feedback loop of structural resistance and support. It is as if the bowstring is being pulled back even further as the arrow is prepared, storing more energy and providing more support the more the cloud is compressed. This intensification helps to regulate the birth of new stars, ensuring that only the most determined knots of gas can overcome the magnetic pressure to ignite. The interstellar medium thus manages its own density and growth through this responsive interplay between matter and the invisible magnetic web. The field lines become a record of the cloud's history, twisted and compressed by the same forces that are trying to create a new sun. Even when the star is finally born, the remnants of this intensified field remain, influencing the formation of planets and the behavior of the newborn star's own winds. It is a continuous thread of influence that links the diffuse mist to the solid reality of a stellar system. This magnetic scaffolding provides a hidden, enduring skeleton that holds the most delicate and far-flung structures of the Milky Way together in a single, cohesive unit. Without this internal framework, the spiral arms of the galaxy would likely fray and dissolve into a disorganized mess, unable to maintain their iconic, graceful curves against the shear of galactic rotation. The magnetic field lines act as the invisible sinews that bind the gas, the dust, and the stars into a shared gravitational destiny. Consider how your own skeletal system provides the necessary support for your limbs to rest in peace, while still maintaining their form and potential for movement. The galaxy relies on its magnetic skeleton to maintain its poise and balance as it rotates through the immense reaches of the intergalactic void. This hidden structure is what transforms a collection of individual solar systems into a majestic, unified organism that breathes and moves as one. The skeleton is flexible, allowing the galaxy to ripple and shift in response to collisions and mergers, yet it is strong enough to preserve the essential shape of our home. It is a masterpiece of evolutionary architecture, a structure that has been refined over billions of years to support the weight of the stars. The invisible sinews ensure that no part of the galaxy is ever truly left behind. Surprisingly, without this invisible and pervasive web, the interstellar medium would likely behave like a chaotic, unstructured storm of runaway particles and suddenly collapsing clouds. There would be nothing to guide the energetic winds of supernovae, or to channel the constant high-pressure breath of the stars into meaningful and sustainable pathways. The galaxy would be a realm of violent, unpredictable collisions and sudden starbursts that would quickly exhaust its limited supply of primordial fuel. Instead, the magnetic field introduces a layer of discipline and restraint to the cosmic ocean, turning a potential storm into a calm and navigable harbour for the birth of worlds. As you release any remaining tension in your shoulders and hands, imagine the galaxy similarly shedding its chaos and settling into this state of magnetic calm. The quiet order we observe in the night sky is a direct result of this invisible hand keeping the raw energy of the void at bay. The field provides the necessary friction and tension to slow the frantic pace of the cosmos down, allowing for the long, unhurried processes that lead to the formation of life. It turns the violent impulses of the universe into a gentle, productive cycle of creation and renewal. This hidden order is the quiet guardian of our cosmic neighborhood, ensuring the peace of the deep. It is a quiet, profound reminder that even the vastest and most seemingly empty reaches of space are bound by unseen forces of elegant and continuous order. The interstellar medium is not a wasteland of random debris, but a highly organized and structural environment where every atom and grain of dust has its specific place. This magnetic web is the final piece of the structural puzzle, the invisible glue that holds the entire cosmic narrative together across the eons. As you find yourself in a state of deep and total relaxation, realize that you are part of this same, beautifully structured universe, governed by the same elegant laws of physics. The invisible web that threads through the stars also threads through you, a silent testament to the interconnectedness of all things in the galactic domain. We are never truly adrift in an empty void, but are always supported by the hidden, graceful architecture of the cosmos. This realization brings our journey through the magnetic web to a peaceful close, leaving us with a sense of profound belonging to a well-ordered universe. The tension of the bowstring is not a threat, but a promise of potential and stability. In the absolute silence of the interstellar medium, the magnetic web remains the quietest and most enduring witness to the beauty of order. This beauty of order is punctuated by a relentless high-speed movement that saturates even the most peaceful corners of the void. Speeding through the interstellar medium at nearly the speed of light are atomic nuclei known as cosmic rays, hurtling across the dark with a kinetic fervour that defies the surrounding stillness. These particles are not light, but actual fragments of matter, protons and heavier nuclei, travelling with such velocity that they become a permanent pervasive radiation. They are the invisible bullets of the cosmos, carrying immense energy through the thin spectral mist of gas and dust that fills the galactic disk. Their presence transforms the quiet gaps between the stars into a high-energy environment, where the very vacuum is filled with a constant silent rush of subatomic nomads. It is a restless, invisible climate that persists in the deep, ensuring that no volume of space is ever truly at rest or isolated from the energetic flow. These travellers act as the persistent, high-velocity messengers of a galaxy that is fundamentally alive and in motion. Their presence is a silent, energetic echo of the most violent events in the history of the stars. In the absolute quiet of the deep, they represent a constant, invisible pulse of kinetic potential. These energetic travellers are not born of a calm evolution, but are accelerated to their staggering velocities by the violent, expanding shockwaves of distant, ancient supernovae. As massive stars reach their explosive conclusion, they act as gargantuan natural particle accelerators, kicking these nuclei out into the deep with a force that light years of distance cannot dampen. The shell of a dying star ploughs through the interstellar medium, creating a turbulent front where atoms are caught and whipped into a frenzy of motion. This process turns the echoes of stellar death into a permanent energetic rain that washes over the entire galaxy for eons. It is a recycling of destruction into a pervasive, invisible kinetic potential that threads through the voids. The shockwaves effectively seed the interstellar medium with these high-speed projectiles, ensuring that the energy of a dying star is never truly lost but redistributed across the heavens. Each ray carries the kinetic memory of a cataclysm, a tiny piece of an ancient explosion that continues to scream through the silence of the deep. They are the physical legacy of the galaxy's most violent moments, redistributed into a steady, invisible mist that fills the interstellar medium. Their journey begins in the heart of fire and ends in the cold, dark stretches of the spiral arms. Picture them as the fastest and most relentless nomads of the galaxy, possessing enough momentum to pierce through dense molecular clouds and empty voids with equal ease. Unlike the drifting atoms of gas that may be swayed by the softest gravity, these particles move with a conviction that allows them to traverse the densest regions of the interstellar medium without slowing down. They are the ultimate travellers, ignoring the boundaries and silhouettes that define the visible architecture of our home. As they zip through the dark, they provide a sense of continuity, linking the most isolated corners of the Milky Way through their constant high-speed transit. This movement ensures that energy is never localized, but is shared across the vast spans of the galactic disk. Their relentless pace creates a bridge between the fiery nebulae and the frozen deserts of the deep, weaving a kinetic thread through the void. They represent a restless, nomadic energy that ensures no part of the void is ever truly isolated from the violent history of the stars. To watch their path would be to see the entire galaxy as a single, interconnected web of motion and impact. Their relentless pace is the primary mechanism for the distribution of high-energy potential throughout the deep. When they collide with the cold, unsuspecting interstellar gas, they produce a faint, continuous glow of gamma rays that flickers invisibly across the deep. This subatomic interaction creates a microscopic, rapid pinging of invisible rain, a subatomic percussion that resonates throughout the dark reservoirs of the Milky Way. It is a soundless impact that occurs trillions of times every second, a constant drumbeat that underlies the silence of the vacuum. Though we cannot hear this sound with human ears, it is a constant rhythmic impact that defines the energetic texture of the medium. The gamma-ray glow acts as a map of these collisions, revealing where the high-speed nomads are currently interacting with the denser patches of the galactic fog. This radiation is a ghostly byproduct of the struggle between high-speed matter and the resting gas of the void. It is a quiet, energetic symphony that plays out in the background of the universe, a persistent reminder of the kinetic activity that thrives even in the absolute dark. This invisible rain is the primary reason the cold clouds possess a hidden, radiant signature that can be detected from across the stars. Each impact is a tiny spark in the dark, a microscopic testament to the vitality of space. Surprisingly, this high-energy bombardment actually provides a crucial source of internal heating for the deepest, darkest molecular clouds, preventing them from freezing into total static inactivity. While starlight is blocked by the thick layers of dust, these cosmic rays can easily penetrate the core, depositing their energy and keeping the gas from reaching absolute zero. This hidden warmth is the only thing that maintains the subtle, gaseous motion required for future stars to eventually gather their mass. Take a moment to feel the gentle warmth of your own breath, a steady internal heat that parallels the hidden thermal pulse these rays provide to the freezing void. This resonance between the internal heat of life and the hidden heat of the void links us to the cosmic process. It is a vital thermal anchor that keeps the coldest places in the universe from becoming completely inert. It is a vital thermal baseline that ensures the interstellar medium remains a living, dynamic entity rather than a frozen graveyard. The cosmic rays serve as a deep-seated thermal regulator for the entire galactic nursery system, preparing the gas for its eventual collapse. Without this subtle, internal fire, the dark clouds would lose the kinetic energy necessary for their long-term evolution. They are responsible for the constant breaking apart of stable molecules, forcing the interstellar chemistry to relentlessly reinvent itself in the dark. As a high-speed cosmic ray strikes a complex chemical bond, it acts like a microscopic hammer, shattering the arrangement and freeing individual atoms to wander once more. This destruction is not an end, but a beginning, as the newly freed atoms can now participate in different, potentially more complex reactions. This interaction typically occurs on the surfaces of dust grains, where the fragments of shattered molecules can find new partners in the cold. This high-energy interference prevents the chemistry of the void from becoming stagnant, ensuring a constant cycle of molecular death and rebirth. It is a restless creative process that thrives on the very energy of impact. It is a brutal but necessary catalyst for the ongoing diversity that defines the fertile pockets of the galactic deep. The rain of particles ensures that the molecular library of the void is never finished, but always being rewritten by the kinetic forces of the stars. This constant reinvention is the secret to the rich, prebiotic potential of the interstellar medium. If we were to look closer at the elemental composition of our universe, we would find that some of the lithium and beryllium in existence was forged purely by these high-speed collisions in empty space. This process, known as spallation, involves a cosmic ray literally chipping away at heavier nuclei like carbon or oxygen, until these rarer, lighter elements remain as the debris. It is a process that bypasses the traditional fusion cycles of stellar interiors. Unlike most elements forged in the hearts of stars, these specific materials are the children of the void, created by the violent impact of nomads against the drifting gas. It is a profound alchemy of the deep, where the sheer speed of a particle can carve out the very ingredients needed for future planetary complexity. These rare atoms are the physical trophies of the subatomic war waged in the darkness. Every atom of these elements in our own world carries the signature of a high-speed encounter in the interstellar medium. We carry the physical evidence of this invisible rain in the very structure of our technology, our environment, and our bodies. It is a tangible link between the heavy weight of solid matter and the high-speed whispers of the interstellar deep. Their journey can last for millions of years, a marathon across the light years where the traveller never slows and rarely finds a moment of rest. Across these immense eons, they traverse the entire width of the galactic disk, passing through thousands of different solar neighbourhoods and crossing multiple spiral arms. They see the rise and fall of countless stars as they hurtle through the silence. Their voyage only reaches its final sudden end when they are finally absorbed by the thick atmosphere of a planet or the churning surface of a distant star. Let the steady, heavy feeling of your limbs anchor you as you contemplate these travellers who never touch the ground until their long voyage reaches its conclusion. This contrast between our resting state and their eternal flight highlights the staggering diversity of the cosmos. They are the longest-lived witnesses to the galaxy's history, carrying the kinetic energy of the ancient past into the present moment. This eternal transit is the primary way energy is distributed across the gargantuan distances of the deep, ensuring a level of cosmic equilibrium. They are the tireless couriers of the Milky Way, delivering the energy of dead stars to the doorsteps of the living. The interstellar magnetic field traps them in its invisible, far-reaching grip, ensuring they wander the galaxy in endlessly complex spiraling loops rather than escaping into the intergalactic abyss. Because they are charged particles, they are bound to the lines of force tracing the hidden, curving geometry of the magnetic web that threads through the medium. This interaction turns the vacuum into a structured, energetic arena, where the paths are preordained by the field. This confinement ensures that the energy of the cosmic rays remains a permanent recycled asset of the galaxy, rather than a lost resource bleeding into the void. As they spiral, they illuminate the shape of the magnetic field for our instruments, acting as high-speed tracers of the unseen architecture. They are the high-energy ink that maps the hidden contours of our galactic home. This magnetic prison is what keeps the rain falling within the bounds of the Milky Way, sustaining the energetic vitality of our home. It turns the random flight of particles into a structured, rhythmic dance of containment and redirection. Without this magnetic containment, the galaxy would quickly lose its most energetic and vital kinetic components to the empty intergalactic void. They serve as a vital, energetic pulse for the entire galaxy, preventing the cold gas from ever falling into a state of completely dormant silence. This microscopic rain ensures that even in the absence of starlight, the interstellar medium remains a place of motion, heat, and chemical potential. They are the silent engines of maintenance that keep the cosmic engine primed for creation. It is the invisible, high-speed heartbeat of the deep, a reminder that the void is forever alive with the kinetic echoes of the stars. Without this relentless bombardment, the clouds would lose their internal pressure, and the chemistry of the vacuum would fail to evolve into complexity. They act as the energetic guardians of the void, maintaining the delicate balance that allows life to eventually emerge. The emergence of life and the intricate dance of complexity find their ultimate balance within the quiet, energetic guardians of the void, where the primary rhythm is not the frantic pulse of a single life, but the slow, rhythmic ticking of a galactic clock. While our human civilizations rise and fall in the mere blink of a celestial eye, the fundamental processes governing the interstellar medium operate on timescales that dwarf the entirety of our species' history. We are effectively ephemeral ghosts passing through a house that takes millions of years just to settle its foundations, a realization that brings a staggering sense of perspective to our temporary existence. The deep void does not acknowledge the urgency of the living, choosing instead to breathe with a long, unhurried cadence that makes the birth and death of empires look like the flicker of a distant match. Each shift in the density of the gas, each subtle alignment of the magnetic web, is a movement that spans epochs beyond our comprehension. To understand the medium is to accept a perspective where 10,000 years is but a single, passing moment in a much larger narrative, a scale of time that demands a complete departure from our terrestrial habits of thought. This staggering temporal scale ensures that the galaxy remains a stable and enduring stage for the drama of the stars, acting as a massive inertial anchor. It provides a pervasive, quiet peace that prevents the frantic, localized energy of the suns from tearing the cosmic fabric apart before its time. We're invited to set aside our terrestrial clocks and listen to the deeper, slower heartbeat of the universe itself, finding a strange comfort in its absolute indifference to our haste. Deep within the lightless sanctuaries of the spiral arms, the process of gathering the ghosts of ancient stars into a new nursery is a feat of unbelievable patience. A single gas cloud might drift through the silence for tens of millions of years before it gathers enough mass to even begin its final gravitational collapse. This immense duration allows for the slow, steady accumulation of matter from the surrounding void, a process that cannot be hurried or forced by any outside influence. This long, unhurried prelude is the secret to the stability of the stellar systems that will eventually emerge from the dark, allowing the chemical potential to mature. The gas has time to settle, to cool, and to find a perfect equilibrium before the violent fires of fusion are finally ignited in the new core. It is a period of profound preparation where the medium carefully organizes its resources across distances that take light itself generations to cross, ensuring the future sun has a firm foundation. We see this as a static, unmoving cloud in our telescopes, but in reality it is a structure in the midst of a multi-million-year huddle toward creation. The ticking of this process is measured in the slow, inevitable drift of atoms toward a common center of mass, a journey of incredible perseverance. It is a masterpiece of cosmic endurance, where the reward for such incredible patience is the eventual birth of a brand new and stable solar system. Notice how the staggering sparsity of the interstellar medium turns even the most basic chemical reaction into a feat of extreme cosmic endurance. Within the thinnest, most ethereal stretches of the galactic mist, the wait for two specific atoms to drift close enough to collide can last for thousands of human lifetimes. Time becomes a different dimension here, a vast silent sea of waiting where the rare union of particles is a momentous, once-in-an-epoch event that changes the chemical landscape forever. Because there are so few residents in these vast volumes, the probability of a successful encounter is infinitesimally small, requiring eons of patient, unguided drifting. This creates a chemical pace that is nearly frozen by our standards, yet it is this very slowness that allows for the precise, error-free assembly of complex molecules. The universe does not rush its most delicate work, preferring to let the laws of probability play out over millions of years of undisturbed and absolute quiet. Allow your breathing to slow and your muscles to release their hold, syncing your own quiet rhythm with this patient, enduring scale of time. Just as your resting body requires a moment of total stillness to recover and rebuild, the interstellar medium uses these vast durations to organize the building blocks of reality. This parallel of rest reminds us that the most significant events in the cosmos are often the ones that require the longest, most dedicated wait. This structure of vast distances and slow processes ensures that the light we observe from these glowing ribbons and nebulae today actually began its journey long before the first humans ever walked the Earth. When we look at the Orion Nebula, we're not seeing it as it exists in our current moment, but as it appeared centuries or even millennia ago. The interstellar medium acts as a massive temporal mirror, reflecting the ancient past into our modern telescopes with a clarity that defies the intervening millions of miles and centuries of history. We're effectively looking at a prehistoric broadcast, a visual echo from a time when our world was a vastly different and alien place. Every photon that touches our eyes has survived a journey through the gritty dust and magnetic webs we have explored, carrying the signature of a time long since past. This temporal delay turns the night sky into a living three-dimensional history book, where every page is a different sector of space and a different era of cosmic time. It is a profound realization that we can never truly see the universe in its now, only in a beautifully layered and complex series of thens. This lag is a fundamental property of the interstellar medium, a consequence of the staggering scale of the galactic architecture and the speed of light. We are perpetual witnesses to the history of the stars, caught in a graceful loop of ancient light and modern curious observation. Surprisingly, even the relatively empty local bubble we currently inhabit was not cleared in a single day, but required millions of years of sequential supernova detonations to hollow out its cavernous interior. Each explosion was a separate violent hammer blow that occurred eons apart, slowly pushing the boundaries of our neighbourhood further into the deep freeze. This spacious sanctuary is the result of a long, deliberate excavation project carried out by the dying giants of our galactic past, preparing a place for our sun to sail. The clearing of our sector was a rhythmic and deliberate process, where the shock waves of one star would prepare the way for the winds and heat of the next. It took millions of years for the hot X-ray emitting gas to settle into its current configuration, maintaining the pressure that keeps the denser clouds at bay. We live in a masterpiece of celestial civil engineering that has been in the steady work since long before our solar system reached its current position in the spiral arm. This immense duration ensures that the void we inhabit is a stable and enduring feature of the local landscape, resistant to sudden change. It was not a sudden accident, but a slow, rhythmic carving of the medium that spanned countless generations of stellar life and death. Our current peace is the direct result of this incredibly patient and violent history of excavation in the deep, a gift from the ancient stars. It takes an absolute eternity for a microscopic grain of dust to slowly amass its protective mantle of pristine interstellar ice. Molecule by molecule, the grain builds its frozen armour across the vast stretches of time, waiting for the rare encounter in the dark that adds another layer to its structure. This patient accumulation is the essential foundation for the complex chemistry we explored earlier, proving that the universe's greatest and most important masterpieces are never rushed or hurried. As you sit in this deep state of rest, allow your mind to expand to match this unhurried and majestic scale of celestial growth. Notice how the stillness of your own environment mirrors the quiet, patient building of these microscopic, frozen towers in the deep void. The universe achieves its most complex and beautiful results not through sudden bursts of energy, but through the cumulative and unstoppable power of immeasurable time. This vast, overarching slowness creates a profound sense of peace, where even the most catastrophic cosmic violence is stretched into a graceful, slow-motion ballet. A supernova shockwave may move at incredible speeds, but when viewed across the light years, its expansion appears as a steady, unhurried growth that takes centuries to significantly alter the landscape. The interstellar medium tames the fury of the stars, turning their destruction into a long artistic transition that allows the galaxy to slowly adapt and survive. We often perceive the universe as a place of sudden, explosive change, but the reality of the medium is one of glacial, majestic, and rhythmic movement. The ticking of the galactic clock ensures that even the most energetic events are absorbed into the larger, slower rhythm of the galactic disk. This temporal buffering prevents the galaxy from being a place of constant, chaotic upheaval, providing instead a stable environment for the long-term evolution of complex matter. The silence of the deep is the result of this massive temporal stretching, where the noise of creation is lost in the vastness of the weight. It turns the entire galaxy into a place of quiet, predictable progress, where every event has its proper, unhurried, and inevitable place in the sequence. To understand this slowness is to find a sense of enduring calm and belonging, in the face of the infinite reaches of space. To observe the interstellar medium is to look at a single static snapshot of a remarkably patient and ongoing architectural project. We are seeing the construction site of the future, where the girders are made of magnetic fields and the bricks are made of drifting primordial hydrogen. The design of the galaxy is not a finished work, but a living, breathing blueprint that is being refined over billions of years of silent, persistent, and unhurried labour. The structures we see today, the towering pillars of dust and the glowing ribbons of gas, are merely temporary stages in a project that will continue long after our sun has faded. Every cloud and every bubble is a work in progress, a transitionary form that is slowly being sculpted by the forces of gravity, radiation, and immeasurable time. This ongoing construction ensures that the galaxy remains a place of constant potential, always preparing the ground for its next great act of creation. Notice the slow, steady rhythm of your own heart again, a quiet biological clock that anchors you to the present moment even as we contemplate these eons. This internal pulse is our only way to measure the passing of a reality that otherwise completely defies our human perception of time. We are invited to appreciate the craftsmanship of a universe that is never in a hurry to reach its final, perfect conclusion. The medium recycles its matter so efficiently that many of the atoms currently making up our own solar system have gone through this slow, majestic cycle multiple times. Every iron atom in your blood or silicon atom in the rocks beneath you might have spent 10 million years in a dark cloud, followed by 100 million years in a star, before being exhaled back into the void. We are made of recycled history, the physical survivors of a galactic conveyor belt that has been running smoothly since the dawn of time. This continuous cycle of birth, death, and return ensures that the interstellar medium is never truly depleted, but is constantly enriched with the heavy products of stellar fusion. The ticking of this cycle is the most fundamental rhythm of the galaxy, a slow-motion heartbeat that sustains the entire stellar population across the ages. It is a system of absolute efficiency, where nothing is ever truly wasted, and every atom is eventually returned to the great shared reservoir of the deep. Notice the weight of your body pressing into the seat, a solid connection to the matter that has travelled through the eons to be here now. This physical presence is the end result of countless cycles of interstellar recycling, a tangible proof of the medium's enduring and patient power. We are the latest iteration of a cosmic story that has been told and retold across the light years, using the same ancient and eternal ingredients. If we were to look closer at the ultimate lesson of the void, we would see that true celestial creation requires an abundance of both undisturbed space and immeasurable time. There are no shortcuts in the interstellar medium, no way to accelerate the slow, graceful dance of gravity and chemistry that leads to the birth of a new world. The universe teaches us that the most significant transformations are the ones that take the longest to unfold, requiring a level of patience that is truly divine. The deep silence of the vacuum is the necessary environment for this patient work to occur, a sanctuary where matter can find its own way without the interference of outside chaos. This vast duration is what allows for the emergence of complexity, the formation of sugars, and the eventual triumphant ignition of a new sun. It is a quiet, profound reminder that greatness is never a sudden accident, but a slow and inevitable accumulation of effort across the centuries. As our journey through the scales of time reaches its conclusion, we are left with a sense of profound respect for the unhurried and majestic nature of the cosmos. The interstellar medium is not just a place, but a process, a long and beautiful meditation on the power of persistence and the beauty of the wait. It is the eternal promise that, given enough time, the darkness will always find a way to become light. The greatest paradox of this eternal promise lies in the deceptive nature of the void itself, where what appears to be a hollow nothingness is actually the fountain of all existence. Across the vast stretches of the Milky Way, the gaps between stars seem like silent, empty spaces, yet they hold the hidden weight of all that has been and all that will ever be. If we were to look closer, we would see that this apparent vacuum is a dense reservoir of potential, a cosmic warehouse storing the raw materials of reality. It is the ultimate trick of perspective, where the background of the universe is actually its most vital and productive foreground. Every sun, every comet, and every breath ever taken originated in this thin, ghostly mist that we so often dismiss as simple emptiness. We are not looking at a stage, but at the very substance from which the actors are carved. This invisible mist represents the ultimate potential of the cosmos, waiting in the shadows for the right moment to ignite into brilliance. It is a quiet, overwhelming presence that fills the gaps between the stars with a heavy promise of future creation. By acknowledging this hidden fullness, we begin to see the galaxy not as a collection of isolated points, but as a single, continuous field of being. This spectral mist serves simultaneously as the silent graveyard of ancient deceased stars and the nutrient-rich soil from which new generations will inevitably bloom. It is a place where the heavy metallic ashes of cataclysmic explosions settle into the cold shadows, mingling with the primordial gases of the deep. Surprisingly, the death of a massive giant is not a finality, but a scattering of seeds that ensures the continued fertility of the galactic environment. Notice how the stillness of your own environment mirrors the deceptive quiet of this galactic engine, hiding a world of microscopic motion beneath a calm surface. The void is never idle, even when it appears most still, as the chemistry of the future is constantly built upon the ruins of the past. It is a magnificent, circular narrative that ensures the light will always return to the dark. The vacuum of space is not truly empty, but a bustling, interconnected ecosystem of matter and energy that pulses with a life all its own. Within this hidden biosphere, magnetic fields, high-energy particles, and drifting gas clouds interact in a complex, ongoing dialogue that sustains the entire galaxy. If we were to look closer, we would realize that the medium behaves like a singular, living organism, where a disturbance in one corner ripples through the entire structure like a nerve impulse. This invisible network ensures that no part of the cosmos is truly isolated, as everything is linked by the constant exchange of atoms and light. It is a magnificent, self-regulating system that maintains its balance across the light years, proving that the void is a place of intense, hidden activity. The ecosystem of the deep void is the true engine of the Milky Way, providing the necessary nutrients and energy for the survival of the stars. Deep within this busy void, the raw materials of planets are refined and transported through the magnetic highways we have explored. It is a tireless, microscopic industry that operates on a gargantuan scale, turning the vacuum into a thriving marketplace of potential. The interconnectedness of this system is the final proof that the universe is a unified and coherent whole. Consider that the deepest, most absolute cold of the interstellar medium is the singular requirement needed to eventually ignite the most intense, searing heat of a fusion reaction. This is a dizzying realization, a mirror held up to the logic of the universe where the freeze acts as the catalyst for fire. Without the extreme thermal deprivation found in the darkest clouds, the gas would retain too much energy to ever succumb to the gravitational pressure necessary for ignition. The profound frost effectively drains the resistance of the atoms, allowing them to fall together in a slow-motion collapse that terminates in the birth of a star. It is a masterful paradox where the coldest places in existence are the only cradles capable of fostering the hottest temperatures known to physics. The silence of the deep freeze is the essential quiet before the roaring announcement of a new sun. Relax the muscles in your jaw and shoulders, allowing your body to settle into a state of cool, balanced rest. Just as your own resting state is the foundation for your next active movement, the deepest cold of space is the essential prerequisite for the next burst of stellar energy. This thermal harmony ensures that the universe remains a place of dynamic and productive contrast. The dark, gritty dust that so effectively obscures our view of the distant universe is the exact same chemical material required to build the very lenses of our modern telescopes. If we were to look closer at a grain of interstellar silicate, we would find the same elemental makeup as the transparent glass that allows us to peer back into the void. This creates a poetic irony, where the very veil that hides the stars is also the medium through which we choose to reveal them. We use the ancient soot of the interstellar medium to refine our vision, turning the obstacles of the deep into tools for our own enlightenment. It is a reminder that the materials of the cosmos are versatile and unified, appearing as shadows in one context and as clarity in another. This shared chemistry ensures that the tools we use to study the universe are literally forged from the same fire as the objects we observe. Surprisingly, the very particles that scatter the blue light of the heavens are the same ones we polish into glass to catch the red light of the deep. It is a cycle of utility that highlights our deep connection to the gritty texture of the cosmic desert. We look through the dust to see the dust, finding a profound symmetry in the way we interact with the void. Though it seems infinitely sparse and almost non-existent, the total mass of the interstellar medium dictates the gravitational destiny of the entire galactic disk. This structure holds the hidden influence that shapes the orbital paths of billions of stars, acting as a massive, invisible hand that guides the rotation of the spiral arms. Surprisingly, the combined weight of these lonely drifting atoms is powerful enough to prevent the galaxy from flying apart or collapsing inward too quickly. The medium is the great stabilizer, a tenuous anchor that provides the necessary ballast for the luminous matter we see in the night sky. If we were to look closer, we would see that the destiny of the Milky Way is written in the density of its gas as much as in the brightness of its suns. This pervasive influence ensures that the cosmic narrative proceeds according to a strict and inevitable gravitational logic that spans the eons. Notice the heavy, comfortable sensation of your own limbs as they are supported by the silent pull of the Earth beneath you. In a remarkably similar fashion, the galaxy is anchored by its own invisible mist, finding a state of graceful, rotating poise in the absolute dark. This structural weight is the secret to the endurance of the galactic architecture over billions of years of history. The absolute crushing silence of this environment masks a continuous, roaring symphony of electromagnetic radiation that vibrates through every cubic centimetre of the void. While our human ears would find only a vacuum of sound, the space is actually saturated with the radio whispers, infrared glows, and X-ray screams of 1,000 different processes. This invisible orchestra plays across the light years, carrying the news of distant explosions and the hum of magnetic fields. The interstellar medium is a perfect conductor for these signals, allowing the stories of the stars to travel unimpeded through the deep. It is a quiet reminder that the most significant vibrations in the universe are often the ones that exist just beyond our natural senses. If we were to look closer with specialized eyes, the dark would be revealed as a blindingly bright and noisy landscape of energy. This invisible symphony provides a constant, energetic background for the long-term evolution of the galactic disk. Every atom in the void is a participant in this broadcast, responding to the frequencies of the stars and the cosmic rays. It is a profound, soundless roar that ensures the universe is never truly empty or silent. This seemingly chaotic mist of gas and dust is bound by strict, uncompromising physical laws that weave a perfect order out of random quantum fluctuations. Deep within the voids, the behavior of every individual particle is dictated by the precise mathematics of fluid dynamics, electromagnetism, and general relativity. If we were to look closer, we would see that what appears to be a random drift is actually a highly structured and predictable dance. The interstellar medium acts as a grand, natural computer, processing the energy of the stars and the pressure of gravity to produce the complex shapes of the nebulae. It is a masterful display of cosmic organization, where the smallest subatomic events contribute to the majestic architecture of the galactic whole. This continuous order provides the necessary stability for the long-term evolution of planets and the eventual emergence of consciousness. Surprisingly, the vacuum is the most ordered place in the universe, a realm where the laws of physics are allowed to play out with a clarity that is impossible on a crowded planet. We are surrounded by a perfection that we can barely perceive, a structural integrity that persists across the light years. This order is the final guarantee that the universe will always make sense. Our own planet is not a separate or isolated entity in the cosmos, but merely a highly condensed droplet suspended within the vast, sprawling ocean of the interstellar medium. We live within the same gaseous environment that feeds the stars, separated only by the density of the matter beneath our feet. If we were to look closer, we would realize that the Earth is a concentrated archive of the medium's history, a local thickening of the cosmic mist. This realization creates a dizzying sensation of looking into an infinite mirror, where our world is revealed to be a fractal part of the larger galactic fabric. The very air we breathe and the soil we walk upon are simply the local, solid expressions of the same ingredients that drift in the Orion Nebula. We are never truly separate from the stars, as we are submerged in the same cosmic fluid that sustains them. Notice the steady, rhythmic flow of your own breath as it draws in the local atmosphere, connecting you to the ancient gases of the deep. You're a specific, localized expression of a pervasive essence that fills the entire Milky Way. This profound belonging is the final lesson of the interstellar medium, turning the alien void into a familiar and welcoming home. The ultimate and most profound realization of this journey is that we're not simply looking at the interstellar medium from a distance. We are fundamentally made of it. Every atom of carbon in our cells, every iron atom in our blood, and every oxygen atom in our lungs was once a drifting resident of the dark voids. We are the interstellar medium become conscious of itself, the ancient dust and gas that has finally organized into a form capable of reflection. This transformation from a ghostly mist into a sentient being is the greatest miracle of the galactic process, a triumph of complexity over the void. If we were to look closer at our own reflection, we would see the silhouette of the stars staring back at us through our own eyes. The journey through the medium is not an exploration of an external space, but a homecoming to the very materials that define our existence. We are the living, breathing archives of the cosmic desert, carrying the history of the stars in our very marrow. The interstellar medium is our mother, our cradle, and our ultimate destination, bound to us by the eternal laws of atomic recycling. In this realization, the infinite mirrors of the void finally settle into a single, clear, and beautiful image of ourselves. The space between the stars is not a void that separates us from the universe, but the connective tissue that binds everything together in a continuous, eternal cycle of cosmic rebirth. The vast journey through the drifting fog and magnetic webs finally settles here, in the quiet gravity of this singular moment. Fact 1. O1 is the ultimate realization that the space between the stars is not a void that separates us from the universe, but the connective tissue that binds everything together in a continuous, eternal cycle of cosmic rebirth. This grand synthesis brings us back to the stillness of our own existence, where the atoms that once drifted across the light years are now resting in the soft, heavy weight of your body. Deep within this quiet room, the weight of your feet begins to dissolve into the mattress, releasing any remaining tension from the long journey through the deep. Notice the heavy, warm sensation spreading through your toes and up into your ankles, anchoring you to the soft surface beneath. Surprisingly, the body knows exactly how to let go of the vastness of the cosmos and return to the simple, grounding comfort of rest. This quiet room is a sanctuary where the ancient molecules of your legs can finally find their ultimate stillness. Your calves and knees now sink deeper into the bed, feeling the supportive embrace of the sheets. If we were to look closer, we would see every muscle fibre relaxing into the rhythmic, slow-motion current of sleep. The heavy warmth continues to rise, filling your thighs and your hips with a profound sense of peace. Your lower back finds its perfect alignment against the mattress, shedding the weight of the day with a long, slow exhale. This structure of your being is perfectly supported, needing nothing more than the gentle flow of your breath to sustain it. Your abdomen and chest rise and fall with a steady, unhurried cadence that matches the silence of the room around you. The soft fabric of the pillow cradles your shoulders, allowing the tension in your neck to simply vanish into the quiet. Your arms and hands rest at your sides, heavy and motionless, as the warmth spreads all the way to your fingertips. The air in the room is cool and still, providing a perfect environment for the deep rest that is now arriving. Your jaw relaxes completely, letting go of every word and every thought as your eyes grow heavy behind closed lids. The forehead becomes smooth and calm, and the crown of your head feels light and supported by the soft textures of the bedding. The blankets are warm and secure, wrapping you in a cocoon of absolute comfort and silence. You're completely safe here, held by the familiar walls and the steady, quiet air of the evening. The outside world is far away, leaving only this sanctuary of rest and the gentle, slow-motion descent into dreams. The breath flows in and out with no effort at all, a quiet song that lulls the mind into a state of total surrender. Sleep is a soft ocean rising to meet you, carrying away the last traces of the waking world. You're sinking into the deep, dark velvet of a perfect and restorative night, and now 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.